Hello, my name is Eva Arias, and today I will be discussing the novel I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter and how it goes about talking about mental health among Latinas. Before I begin, I just want to give a trigger warning for anyone who is affected by the discussion of mental illness, depression, or suicide. Erika L. Sanchez's I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter is a story about 15-year-old Julia and the recent passing of her older sister Olga. Weeks after Olga's death, Julia discovers that her sister was leading a secret second life, and she becomes obsessed with solving the mystery of who Olga truly was. As time passes, Julia begins to blame herself for her sister's death, and her broken relationship with her mother doesn't help her feel better. Eventually, she becomes so overwhelmed with guilt and sadness that she attempts suicide. Julia spends weeks out of school and is diagnosed with depression. Eventually, after many counseling sessions, Julia graduates high school and attends her dream school in New York. Sanchez addresses many themes throughout her novel, and in this presentation, I will be focusing on mental health. In particular, I will discuss mental illness, specifically depression, what causes and stigmas are, what stops individuals with mental illness from receiving treatment, and how society can make medical treatment more accessible for those with a mental illness. According to health issues in the Latino community, Latinos are residentially segregated and are more affected by pervasive shortfalls in educational attainment. This sense of demoralization can lead to some form of a mental illness. Robinson writes that other aspects that can lead to a mental illness include the death of a loved one, racism or discrimination, job loss, divorce, or a family history of mental illness. Julia's sudden loss of her sister caused her depression to spike, leading her to feel incapable of living her life. According to Robinson, 48% of Mexican Americans born in the United States have some form of a mental illness. In particular, Latinas have been shown to have higher rates of depression than any other ethnic group. Cardamel states that depression has many symptoms, including feelings of sadness, hopelessness, diminished levels of interest, dysregulation in appetite and sleep patterns, hopelessness and guilty thoughts, and suicidal ideation. This quote on the screen from the novel expresses Julia's feelings of depression. Sometimes I feel so lonely and hopeless that I don't know what to do. Usually I just bottle up all of my feelings and wait until my parents go to sleep so I can cry, which I know is totally pathetic. If I can't wait, I do it in the shower. It builds and builds all day, tightening my throat and chest, and sometimes I feel it in my face. When I finally let it out, it cascades out of me. Unfortunately, as horrible as Julia feels, she refuses to seek professional help. Why is it that individuals with mental illness choose not to speak up? One of the reasons could be due to mental health stigmas. According to DeFreitas, there are two types of mental health stigmas: the perceived stigma and the personal stigma. Perceived stigma is negative attitudes where one believes that society as a whole holds about individuals with mental illness, while personal stigma is one's own personal beliefs about people with mental illness. These stigmas are important to understand because those who hold them are less likely to obtain the needed medical assistance. Common stigma beliefs are that individuals with a mental illness are dangerous, that they won't recover, and that the mental illness is the individual's own fault. Studies show that ethnic minorities are also shown to display higher levels of stigma towards mental illness. How do we go about stopping these negative viewpoints so that individuals can get the help they need and deserve? One of the main reasons that mental health stigmas exist is due to a lack of knowledge. DeFreitas states that without proper information and treatment related to mental health, communities are more likely to create mental health stigmas. By providing education to those who hold these stigmas to be true, we have the ability to break mental illness stereotypes and not make individuals with mental illness feel ashamed. Another action society can take to provide assistance for mental health is providing better mental health care for minorities. Molina Aguirre states that Latinos underutilize medical services for various reasons, including believing that spirits or sins are the reasoning behind their mental illness or the fear of not being understood by their medical provider. It is important that people of color have the option of higher education and medical jobs because they understand the communities they grew up in and therefore will be the best fit for a person of color seeking help with their mental illness. Finally, having a strong and present support system allows for the individual to feel reliant and cared for. In Sanchez's novel, Julia has a best friend but is not close with her family. A lack of love and support from her parents is a symptom to her feeling depressed. While I have covered mental illness among Latino communities, it is important to remember that many studies tend to group ethnic minorities together to create one homogeneous group. Not everyone's mental illness nor situation is the same, therefore, one must remember not to generalize each individual's story. I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter challenges society's preconceived idea of what it means to be a Latina. While it should not be assumed that Julia's character should be generalized to fit all Latina personalities, it is important to understand that not every Latina is homogeneous. Sanchez refuses to fit her novel into a box and goes beyond society's limits by telling a story that modern day Latinas can relate to, both with culture and mental health awareness. And these are my sources that I used.